There is a moment in your journey when silence becomes your greatest strength. You stop explaining. You stop reacting. You stop proving. Instead, you focus on yourself, your energy, your path. In a world full of noise, silence is a weapon. It confuses the shallow, but it empowers the deep. When you turn inward, you begin to build something the outside world can never touch. Growth does not happen in chaos. It happens in stillness, not when you argue, but when you act. Not when you chase people, but when you align with purpose. Every time you choose yourself over gossip, over distraction, over proving someone wrong, you win. Every silent morning, every focused day, every humble night builds your future. People will notice, but by then you won't care because you've become something greater than their opinion. You've become centered. You've become whole. You've become unshakable. Focus on yourself. Stay silent. Everything will fall into place not by force, but by flow. This is the way of self-mastery. This is the way of the disciplined mind. Most people misunderstand silence. They think being quiet means being weak. But true silence is not emptiness. It is presence. It is awareness. It is control. When you stop reacting to every comment, every insult, every situation, you begin to conserve your energy. Instead of scattering it everywhere, you focus it inward like a laser, and that focused energy becomes your power. Silence is the space where clarity lives. It's where you hear your own voice instead of the noise of the world. It's where you stop living to impress others and start aligning with your real purpose. You become less predictable, less emotionally exposed. People won't know your next move, your next thought, because you've chosen to build in the shadows. You're not wasting time on arguments or trying to prove who you are. In your silence, you start observing instead of reacting. You listen more, learn more, and move with deeper intent. That's how you grow quietly but powerfully, because silence isn't the absence of strength. It's the presence of mastery. In today's world, your attention is under attack. Every ping, every scroll, every headline is trying to steal your focus. But what if you chose to guard it like your most precious treasure? When you begin to focus solely on yourself, your goals, your growth, your inner peace, you unlock a level of power that most people never reach. Because true focus isn't just about working hard, it's about working on the right thing yourself. Focus cuts through the noise. It eliminates distractions, it silences doubt. It allows you to build quietly and consistently while everyone else is busy looking sideways. You stop watching other people's timelines. You stop comparing your journey to theirs. You realize you are the project. You are the mission. Focus makes your time sacred. It teaches you discipline. You start saying no, not out of rudeness, but out of wisdom. You stop wasting time explaining yourself, defending your choices, or chasing people who don't see your worth. You become intentional. Every day becomes a brick in the foundation you're building, and the truth is, once you've experienced deep focus, even for a short time, you can never unsee its power. You start craving it, because in that space you feel aligned, energized, and unstoppable. You begin to notice what matters and, more importantly, what doesn't. And from that clarity, real transformation begins. Words are everywhere. Promises, opinions, arguments spoken easily, forgotten quickly. But actions are undeniable. They are the purest form of truth. When you choose to let your actions speak instead of your mouth, you shift from being reactive to being powerful. You no longer need to explain your worth, justify your dreams, or defend your peace. You just move, with intention, with consistency, with quiet determination. There is strength in restraint. You don't respond to every insult. You don't fight every misunderstanding. Because you know results are louder than reactions. People may doubt your potential, mock your silence, or question your discipline until your results start speaking for themselves. And when they do, no argument will be necessary. The work you put in behind closed doors will become visible in time. Your health, your mindset, your success, your growth, all of it will become the loudest answer to every doubt you've ever received. By focusing on your actions instead of trying to convince others, you begin to rise without distraction. You stop wasting energy proving to people who are never ready to understand you. And instead, you invest that energy into becoming someone even you can be proud of. Action is the language of the disciplined. It doesn't boast. It doesn't beg. It builds quietly daily. And that kind of growth, it can't be ignored. We live in a world that fears silence and avoids being alone. But solitude isn't loneliness. It's a sacred space, a place where you finally meet the person you've been ignoring for too long, yourself. When you remove the constant noise, social media, conversations, distractions, you're left with raw truth. Your thoughts, your patterns, your unspoken fears, your real desires. At first, it's uncomfortable. The silence feels heavy. You might even try to run back to distraction, to company, to noise. Anything to avoid facing what's inside. But the ones who stay, who sit with themselves honestly and patiently, gain something the outside world could never offer: clarity. In solitude, you begin to ask deeper questions. What do I really want? What am I doing just to fit in? What habits are serving me, and which ones are quietly destroying me? You begin to notice how much of your life has been lived on autopilot. You realize how often you've reacted rather than responded. You see where you've been shrinking, where you've been pretending, where you've been avoiding responsibility for your own evolution. And something begins to shift. You stop blaming others. You stop pointing outward. You begin to take ownership not just of your actions, but of your being. Self-awareness is the starting point of transformation. Without it, you're just drifting, chasing approval, running from discomfort, repeating patterns you don't understand. But with it, you gain the power to change, to grow intentionally, to evolve with precision. Solitude strips away the mask. It's not glamorous, but it's necessary, because you can't improve what you won't acknowledge. And you can't acknowledge anything if you're always surrounded by noise. One of the greatest forms of freedom is this: not needing anyone to approve of who you are. Yet, many people spend their entire lives performing, trying to be liked, trying to be accepted, trying to fit in. They dress for approval, they speak for attention, they move according to what others expect, not what they truly want. And in the process, they lose themselves, piece by piece. But the truth is, the need for validation is a trap. It's an invisible prison, and the more you chase it, the more you disconnect from your real power. When you begin to focus inward truly, intentionally, you start asking deeper questions. Why do I need them to notice me? Why do I care so much about their opinion? What happens if they don't approve? And then comes the realization: their validation doesn't change your truth. Their praise doesn't make your goals more meaningful. Their opinion doesn't define your worth. When you stop needing to be seen, something powerful happens. You see yourself clearly for the first time. You realize that your path is sacred, even if no one applauds it. You understand that your progress matters, even if no one notices. You begin to build in silence and grow for you, not for likes, not for compliments, not for applause. You don't shrink anymore when they ignore you. You don't overextend just to be liked. You no longer filter your truth through the lens of someone else's comfort. You stand tall in your own lane. You begin to move with self-trust, and that's where real confidence begins, not in being praised, but in knowing you're living in alignment with who you really are. Your energy is your most valuable currency, more precious than time, more limited than money. Where you invest it shapes your mood, your focus, your future. And yet, most people spend it recklessly. They give it away through arguments that don't matter, conversations that drain them, and relationships that offer nothing but noise. But here's the truth. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every situation deserves your presence. And not every person is meant to walk with you on your path of growth. When you begin to focus on yourself, you become more aware of the things, places, and people that disrupt your peace. You notice how certain interactions leave you feeling exhausted, confused, or unsettled, not because you're weak, but because your spirit is now sensitive to anything that doesn't align with your purpose. Guarding your energy doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means being selective, selective with your time, selective with your focus, selective with your space. It means learning to say no without guilt. It means stepping away from chaos, even if it comes from people you once loved. It means choosing rest over proving yourself. It means removing yourself from gossip, negativity, and endless digital scrolling that steals your mental clarity. You begin to understand that your peace is not a luxury, it's your foundation. Without it, you can't think clearly. You can't grow deeply. You can't serve powerfully. So you start protecting it like a warrior guards his sword, knowing that your energy shapes your reality. You create boundaries not to offend, but to preserve. You spend time with people who nourish your soul, not drain your strength. And with every boundary you set, with every toxic tie you cut, you reclaim more of yourself. You realize that silence is a response, distance is a message, and self-respect is a shield that protects your energy from being wasted on things that no longer deserve it. In a world that glorifies speed, we forget that real transformation takes time. We want quick results, instant answers, fast success. But anything built overnight can crumble just as fast. True alignment, true growth requires patience. Patience is not laziness. It's not passive. It's deeply active, because it takes strength to stay still while things are moving around you. It takes discipline to trust the timing of your life when nothing seems to be happening. It takes self-mastery to keep watering the seed when there's no visible sign of growth. But nature doesn't rush, and yet everything gets done. The bamboo tree spends years growing its roots underground, invisible, unnoticed. Then, one day, it rises, fast, strong, tall. But the truth is, it was growing the whole time, just not in the way others could see. That's how life works when you focus on yourself. When you stop forcing things, when you stop chasing what isn't meant for you, when you let go of timelines that were never yours to begin with, you begin to move in harmony with the flow of life, not against it. And in that space of surrender and effort combined, things start to align, the right people appear. The right opportunities unfold, the clarity you were searching for starts rising from within. Patience teaches you that rushing leads to mistakes, to exhaustion, to burnout. But consistency, even if slow, creates a solid foundation, one that no storm can shake. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop comparing your pace to others. You start honoring your rhythm, trusting that what's meant for you will arrive when you're ready for it, not when you're desperate for it. Patience gives you space to become, to prepare in silence, to build in peace, to grow with intention so that when alignment comes, you're not just waiting for it, you're ready to receive